What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the What the Fun Show and our Best of Batman series, the conclusion. Yeah, I know it's been a long time coming, and I'm very sorry about that. Why are you giving me that look? Joe's here, by the way.
The conclusion? You're acting like there's not going to be any more Batman films.
Well, there's going to be more
We've got more Batman
films,
coming.
but there's conclusion to this series as of right now. Unless people want us to really, dive into the weeds with like the George Clooney and Val Kilmer stuff.
Please, I need some Mr. Freeze in my life. Just saying.
Maybe not.
Nice to meet you.
Anyway, Joe, it's good to see you. And today we are talking about The Batman, the 2022 film, Matthew Reeves as the director, and Robert Pattinson as the Bat. But before we do, again, this is our continuation and our conclusion of this series, unless you want us to continue. So let us know down in the comments below if you are on YouTube. That would really help us out, and let us know if you want us to continue this series. Or you could go ahead and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and then Spotify mobile. You could go ahead and hit the star rating on there. If you haven't already, please do so. A little bit of housekeeping for you. Test Your Might is still going strong, which is our weekly video game debate show. Recently, the episode just came out a couple days ago, so go take a look at that. We do also have a Master of Disguise review out, and which I gotta say, it is, after listening to it, it is I think it's one of my favorite pieces of content that we've ever made, because of how hilarious Joe and Justin are in the whole podcast. So please take some time. It's only about 30 to 40 minutes range. It's a smaller one because I wasn't there as well. So just go ahead and take a look at the new movie within our favorite movie series. So, and we will also be getting a John Wick trilogy review out, hopefully soon. This review will be covering the first 3 movies, and then hopefully we'll get a John Wick 4 review out for you as well. This review is going to be a little bit of a different format. It's going to be more of a sort of like we've done them before, sort of like a love letter review of the trilogy. And so me and Joe will take care of that for you as well. All right, let's get into the movie information here, Joe. Again, this was directed by Matt Reeves. I'm not sure if you knew this, but it is based on characters from the DC universe. Did you know?
No way.
Yes way.
I don't remember vampires in the DC universe.
They're there. I'm pretty sure Dracula is technically in the DC universe. Anyway, starring Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, the cat burglar, Paul Dano as the Riddler, Jeffrey Wright, John Turturro. John Turturro is, what's his name? Carmine Falcone. There we go. Peter Sarsgaard, Andy Serkis, and Colin Farrell. And listeners, if you haven't already seen, it's hard to if you didn't know it beforehand, Joe, it's very hard to pinpoint who Colin Farrell plays in this movie.
Yeah, it took me a minute whilst watching to figure out who he was, because I knew he was in it, and I was like, where? Under some makeup.
Yeah,
that's where
so
found him.
Colin Farrell is the Penguin in this movie. So, and honestly, one of his standout performances. Like he's not on screen for a lot, but when he is on screen, he steals the show.
Yeah, he's very, very good in this.
Yeah. And speaking of show, sorry Joe, I'm saying it. They are making a Penguin HBO Max series, so that is going to be coming out starring Colin
Spoilers.
Farrell. So, yep, you're welcome. All right, this did release on March 4th, and it has a running time of 176 minutes. Budget is 185 to 200 million, and the box office is 771 million. So it did make a profit. Joe,
pretty good size.
Spoiler-free review of The Batman. Patent pending. Let's hear it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, if you've ever imagined a dark and dreary city where crime runs rampant, this is a movie about that. You're welcome.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my review.
That's it. All right. Yeah, The Batman.
I think I nailed everything.
You did nail everything. So listeners, if you have listened to a podcast about me talking about Batman, I do really enjoy early Batman. Sort of the super detective type deal, and the mob scene and stuff like that. I really love the beginnings of Batman as a character. And this tells that story wonderfully. It creates sort of this tone that I think fits Batman flawlessly. Me and Joe before the podcast were talking about just like the soundtrack alone in this movie is so
very good.
It really fits the tone and fits what we expected from this movie, right? Music by Michael Giacchino, or Giacchino, by the way. Sorry for mispronouncing that. Sorry, I was just telling my kids to stop making noise. But the Batman, right? I think Robert Pattinson did a really good job as Bruce Wayne and as Batman. I thought that he was good. I thought the Riddler as a villain was extremely compelling in this movie. I think it's hard, certainly, when you look at Batman movies or films, you really are sort of looking back on Heath Ledger, right? And how he performed in the live action Joker that he did. And this compared to that, obviously it's a completely different character, but I think Paul Dano does a fantastic job as the Riddler. I think that the Riddler really fits this style of universe. And then, yeah, I will say this one more thing with this is my favorite Batmobile of all time.
It's a good Batmobile.
I love the sound design. I love the muscle car aesthetic. It's just second to none for me. I love it so much.
And they even included the jet still. We still get that cool jet flame turbine thing in the back. Yeah, I like this Batmobile. I like it a lot. It's a classic car too. Like, how can you not like it?
All right. So if you have not seen The Batman, we are going to get into spoiler territory. So please pause the podcast, go watch the movie, and then come back. Consider this your official spoiler warning. Hey, you.
What's that? What the?
What are you doing?
Who, me?
Do you want to be spoiled? No? Well then.
Stop it. Get some help.
So you don't feel like this guy. Instead, let it be a surprise.
Oh, I like surprises.
So go watch the thing before you move on in the podcast, okay?
Alrighty then.
All right, that was your official spoiler warning. And so, Joe, let's get into the Batman. Let's talk about some of our favorite moments. Favorite moments of the Batman. What do you got?
Oh, as opposed to the Tim Burton one, the entrance for Batman in this is fantastic. Coming out of the shadows, being all like stealthy and stocky, and then very menacing. I really liked his entrance. I think it was a much better and kind of more what I expect entrance, as opposed to the dropping down from some weird, really well lit source. Yeah. Yeah, it's just it worked for me in this one. I thought it was very good. And just that scene alone, that's one of my favorite moments. So I'm gonna jump in as well. That scene alone, it sets the tone, right? And it's a perfect tone setter to what this movie is going to be. It has sort of this like Western vibe to it, because the Batman theme, like, it has this sort of like, like this sort of like Western style music behind it. And then also when you hear him walking, it sounds like spurs are on his boots, right? You hear the clank and stuff. So like, it's just, Okay, I see where you're going with that. Yeah,
Westerns in the old days were like, hey, Lone Ranger, you're just this like one dude, you're on your own, you gotta save the bank or whatever, right? And that's kind of
I was confused on where you were headed with that for a minute, though.
Yeah, don't worry.
I'm not gonna lie, the Western thing was like,
don't worry, it fits, but it's like it's sort of this like Batman, he's on his own, he's doing his crime fighting thing, and he is the baddest man in Gotham City, right? Like. People know of him. People have this perceived, have this perception of him already. And what I love about this, and again, this is the beginning. So first of all, it's brutal. It's very violent. When he fights those goons, he means business, right, Joe? But also,
oh yeah, I mean he toes the line of that moral code for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. But also, Joe, like. We don't have an origin story in this movie. We don't have.
He's already established.
He's already established. We don't have this sort of like setting where we're learning who this Batman is. We know the Batman, right? And they bring the audience in to know the Batman in the way that he is in this universe right away, and that's why it is a perfect tone setter.
Oh, yeah. Diving in head first. There's no walking in slow, no shallow ends here. They're like, hey, we want you to understand that this Batman, he's been here for a few years. He's existed in this, and people know who he is. They're afraid of him. They're frightened of who this man could be. And yeah, right off the rip, he hits the dude in the head with a bat. Like, is he sleeping or is he not?
Well, I mean, right off the bat, that's not the first thing, right? He takes that guy down, and it's the I am vengeance line, right? And he's just punching him in the face, just like nonstop on the floor. Like,
oh, yeah.
As you said, like teetering that line of the morality that he has with not killing, because clearly he screwed that guy up.
I mean, he probably didn't die, but yeah, he could have died from injuries.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like, I didn't kill him directly. His injuries killed him.
Yeah, for
totally
sure.
different.
Another one of my favorite moments here, Joe, is actually the introduction of Chloe Kravitz, Catwoman, or Zoe Kravitz. Sorry, I said Chloe.
Zoe Kravitz, yep.
Zoe Kravitz, her Catwoman, and the reason why it's one of my favorite moments here, Joe, is not because it's her being introduced, right? But it's her theme. I think that her music, this sort of like catwalk music, this like staccato style music behind her introduction, again, I believe this soundtrack is just top notch. This movie score is just top notch, and each one of the character themes fits the tone of that character and how that character is going to be portrayed in this universe perfectly.
Yeah, they did do a very good job with all the characters and all of the sound design behind them. I think they did wonderfully. I agree. I liked her intro. I liked when we met her. I liked the whole. Well, it's kind of creepy, right? Because we've got a pretty stalkerish Batman in here, and he's supposed to be. We understand that he kind of sits in the shadows and he observes, but you get like some serious stalker vibes at points, which is pretty funny. But with her and the club, I don't remember what it's called, 44 Below.
Something. Yeah, 44 Below or something like that. Yep. But yeah, I mean that's where Penguin is. Catwoman is, Selena Kyle. She is working there as sort of like a waitress, bartender type deal. But also, like, we come to find out later on in the movie that she's also trying to stay kind of close to this whole like underground, like sort of like gang mob scene, because we do find out that her dad is actually Carmine Falcone.
Whoa.
Yeah, spoilers. Sorry.
Kind of a big deal.
We're in the spoiler section.
Oh, we're in the territory, I know.
Yeah,
it's just crazy. It's like, I knew there was a connection there. Obviously, I've seen this movie twice now, maybe 3 times. But, like, I knew there had to be some sort of connection between them because the relationship, they put that tension there on purpose. They make it seem like, hey, there's something going on. Mm-hmm. You don't really know what it was. And then, when she drops that bomb, you're like, oh, daddy issues, got it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, too, is that, like, this movie takes a lot of inspiration from The Long Halloween, which is something that we have reviewed on this podcast back when we were the 90s first. So we could have those all linked down below. Joe, just letting you know for the description.
It's in our thing. You can find it.
And Chris Clow, a friend of the show, joined us for a lot of those to discuss. But we also reviewed the Long Halloween animation adaptation. So go ahead and take a look at that. But this movie does take a lot of inspiration from that, right? And in that particular comic book, we do come to find out that Selena Kyle's dad is Carmine Falcone. So we do know, we did know prior that there might be this in play, but still it's sort of
didn't know that.
Yeah, you didn't, but comic book nerds did. But it's still sort of
Nerds.
It's still this wow, thanks. It's still this bomb to drop though within this universe, because her hatred for her dad is very prevalent, and it takes she sort of takes a turn towards like really really evil stuff, like wanting to kill people.
Oh yeah, she did. She gave zero care in the world about what happened to certain individuals, especially when she pushed one off the roof of a who knows how tall skyscraper.
Oh yeah, 100%. That guy's
sorry, not the roof.
DED dead.
Well, no, he was safe. Batman caught him.
Oh yeah, that's right. He would have been DED dead.
He would have been super dead.
Excuse me. What's another favorite moment of yours?
Gosh, the introduction of Penguin, because before this, all I had was the Burton Penguin from Batman 2 or whatever it was.
Batman Returns.
And while that Penguin was good, I think I enjoy this one a little bit more. He was more of a real person, whereas in the other one, he was more of a caricature. I mean, he had penguin features before, so it's like, in this one, he's the Penguin, but he still, for me, he still kind of carries through some of those, what was that, 1990s Batman Penguin vibes. Was that Danny DeVito who's the Penguin?
Yeah. I mean, Tim Burton definitely took Penguin a little bit more literally than than this movie, that's for sure.
Yes. So in this one, I mean, but some of those characteristics carry through. He's got the very pointed nose. He's got kind of a beak features to his face where everything kind of points forward. So I really liked that. And then the idea of Colin Farrell being behind all that and pulling off this unbelievable performance. I really liked the introduction of him and seeing who he was, and then understanding that was Colin Farrell underneath all of that, like pulling it all off. That was big for me. So I really like that. Yeah,
and just again, a standout performance in my opinion. He certainly embodied that character the way that it's supposed to be portrayed, which is really awesome. But that one scene with him and Commissioner Gordon. Speaking of that, Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon, or he's lieutenant at this point, not Commissioner.
Lieutenant Gordon, yeah.
Lieutenant Gordon is just such a good casting. This movie just overall casting just A-list. It's so good. But Colin Farrell, like he has this New York or like Boston style accent to him. And it really works. The scene that I'm thinking about is when Lieutenant Gordon and Batman are interrogating him under the bridge, and he's like,
oh yeah,
and he's like, he's like good cop, bad cop, or something like that. He says, I'm trying to keep it family friendly, but. Oh no, he says, here, you're going to bleep me. He says, what is this, good cop, bad shit cop over here? And it's just like, it's just so funny. Around 20 minutes, by the way.
We're good. Yeah, I'll catch it.
It's just so good, right? It's just, and for him to be the one thing that I really do enjoy about this Batman is that he's younger. This is sort of his like, not his coming out party, but like he is sort of a newer vigilante, right, in Gotham City.
I feel like we're like 2 years in at this point.
Yeah,
maybe
but still,
2 years into
still
Batman.
relatively new. I would think that he's still refining his detective abilities, right? Because Penguin in that scene also has one up on him. Says, "Hey, have you ever thought that it could be a bat, instead of a rat?" Like, and it's just sort of this like whole rabbit trail that the Riddler sends him on is just a really fun, wild ride.
Yeah, the Riddler, another point of interest for me. I really liked that character. Obviously, the only one I have to go on before this, because I'm not a comic book guy, was Jim Carrey's Riddler. Like, very different in every sort of way. Now, I really love Jim Carrey's Riddler. I think that character is really fun, and for that movie, worked really well. But that style Riddler's not going to work in a movie like this. Like, this is a dark and a very gritty movie, and the Riddler in this one like carried those feelings through.
Well, yeah,
versus.
And then that's what I'm saying. That's what I think this is my favorite depiction of the Riddler ever, because I think the Riddler not necessarily throughout the history of the Riddler, I think he's sort of been like I don't want to say like B tier villain for Batman, but I also think like he has not been taken seriously. And for this movie to sort of change the whole persona of the Riddler, yeah, he's still got the puzzles that you need to solve. He's still got this sort of breadcrumb trail of riddles that you do have to solve, but done in a dark way instead of like a playful and sort of like fun way. It's immensely better than any other depiction of the Riddler, in my opinion.
It's like a Riddler meets Saw.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, yeah, in a way, true. I mean, it's that dark. It's that gritty, right? But yeah, I mean, it is such a good depiction. All right, we teased it before the spoiler section, but that Batmobile scene, oh my goodness, Joe! Like,
you like that one out of the shadows?
I love it. And if not for again, like whatever you see on the screen is nothing without the sound design and the score behind that whole section. Like, oh yeah. If you take away the music, if you take away the sound design of the Batmobile, like that particular scene has zero impact compared to what it does have.
I mean, a lot less impact. It's still a cool car.
Yeah, maybe
scene is
some
still
impact,
neat.
but I want our listeners to understand how good that is. I remember
it makes the difference, right?
I remember seeing this in theaters, and when me and Justin was sitting next to me. When Justin and I saw the Batmobile and we heard the surround sound and the sound design
I bet that was
behind
nice.
The Batmobile, it was incredible.
Yeah, I missed out on that because I didn't watch it until it was a at home on HBO thing. So I didn't get any of the big build. I don't have a fancy speaker system, unfortunately, but I have a soundbar and it did a good job. But I can imagine that in surround, being able to literally feel when that car starts up, and before you see it really, you just get that sound, the ignition and then out of the shadows comes the car. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, and like what I love about it too is that you knew it was coming, because you see in the Batcave earlier on in the movie, like them sort of like building it out, and I don't think we have enough praise for this movie. So let's praise another character here. Andy Serkis's Alfred, right? Like, Alfred is a boss in this movie. So good. He's so good.
You get a good feeling of who Alfred should be. Like, who the Alfred Pennyworth is, who was a former SAS guy and a spy, and like he is BA. Like, you get the not old man Alfred, but like the hey, I used to do things Alfred.
And like the Alfred that like helps build the Batmobile, helps solve crimes. Like he's not just a butler, guys. And the best part about the whole movie, when it pertains to Alfred, is sort of this father figure aspect that you see. And that's one of the things that I, outside of Michael Caine's Alfred, I don't think I really don't think that really, outside of Michael Caine's and maybe outside comic book source material, I don't think we've truly seen that father figure in Alfred represented well.
Definitely not on the screen. No, I think Michael Caine does a good job, especially when he has that line where he says, "Even on that day, I won't want to say I told you so." Mm-hmm. There's that moment where, and you know, obviously my delivery is crap, and his delivery is
what?
Like
You're not Michael
meaningful.
Caine?
Yes, but like that was the moment for me in those films. Obviously, it stuck out to me even still, but that was the moment where you got that like he cares. Like he cares more than a butler. He cares more than just a friend. He truly cares about what happens to Bruce Batman in that film. And I think in this one, Andy Serkis's performance carries that weight throughout. He kind of, you don't feel like it ever drops below that. He's always doing whatever he can to help a younger Bruce Wayne, 30 something Bruce Wayne, maybe.
I maybe even say like 25s. I don't know how old he is in this movie, but yeah, even younger. Okay, let's talk about Robert Pattinson as the Bat.
Edward.
Edward, not sparkling here. Different kind of bat.
No sparkles.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, again, when you heard that Robert Pattinson was going to be playing the Batman, you had reservations, like 100%. You were like,
oh yeah.
You're like, this guy's gonna be Bruce Wayne, and he's gonna be Batman, and he's gonna be Vengeance, right? He's going to be everything.
I've already made fun of him several times.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
right, we had Edward to judge him off of, or Cedric Diggory.
Yeah. So like, you just had this
not
like
the best performances.
You already had this perception in your mind of what it was going to be like, and he shattered them. He shatters them. Like, at least in my opinion, I think that his Batman is incredibly good, and I do think that it stacks up with, you know, the four that we've been talking about, in you know, Michael Keaton and Kevin Conroy and Christian Bale. What would you think?
I mean, I like it more. I like it more than all of them.
You do?
Kevin Conroy, I was never huge into the animated. I think obviously he's great and he's iconic as Batman, but he's Batman's voice, and I love him as Batman's voice. Mm-hmm. As far as Michael Keaton, like, he's good, but dated. I was never a fan of what's his face? Oh my gosh, blanked on his name. Christian Bale. Was never a fan of Christian Bale's Batman.
Really?
His Bruce was cool, but yeah, I feel like I said this last episode, but I hate the voice. And every time he's Batman, he has his voice, and that voice immediately pulls me out of it. I think it's just a caricature of what Batman is, instead of being, you know, menacing or scary. Or I didn't feel any of those things when he talks in the Batman voice. I just laugh at it because it sounds ridiculous. And in this Batman, we get a similar feel, but for me, it doesn't come off as ridiculous. So that makes all the difference in the world. Pattinson, his voice change isn't too, like, for me, didn't go from like normal Bruce Wayne talking voice to like this ultra deep, gravelly, ridiculous voice. It just went to like a, hey, I am angry voice. Mm-hmm. And so it was more believable. I think that this is the best combination of the two. And I kind of have to pull Kevin Conroy out of that, only because his Batman was animated, right? He never had to act for it. He only had to do voice acting. And when you're only doing the voice acting for it, you only have to be concerned about how your voice sounds. So, like I said, he is the voice of Batman, and he kills it as both Bruce Wayne and Batman, but doesn't have to act at the same time. And so for me, on screen, Robert Pattinson wins as the best Batman to this point.
I will definitely push back, and I'm assuming a lot of voice actors would push back as far as whether or not that is true acting. Because I mean, you mean to tell me that you don't think Kevin Conroy is sort of personifying Batman within the sound booth? I would tend to disagree with that, because
Sure, but does he have to do that on set while moving, doing different things, performing?
I mean, I think that in ways it is harder to create a more compelling Batman by just your voice.
But he's not doing it alone. He has a team of animators.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
The way.
You can have an animated Batman with the worst voice ever, and it's not a compelling Batman. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, we're talking about the Batman.
I'm just saying that if you have to act on top of it in a setting with other people, it's harder. And voice actors, if you want to push back at me, go for it. But I'm telling you right now, to do that and also act on top of it, because Robert Pattinson is not just voice. He does have to voice act, but he also has to act on top of it.
Yeah.
And when you're in a booth and you can do as many retakes as you want, I feel like there's a difference.
All right.
Now, hopefully they didn't have to do a bunch of retakes.
All right. So yeah, let's talk about the overall plot. Let's move a little bit forward. So Batman, he does eventually figure out this rabbit trail that leads to bringing Carmine Falcone to the light so that the Riddler can actually shoot him. So he snipes him from this apartment building that's across the street from the club. Batman brings out Carmine Falcone, taking him to jail, and then he gets shot. Now after that, the Riddler does get caught as well, and we sort of we finally get this face to face, this face to face characters in the jail when Batman is talking to the Riddler, and the Riddler gives up his plot Batman eventually figures out his plot that there's going to be bombs around Gotham City to destroy essentially the I'm gonna say dams, but I don't think they were dams, but things that were keeping
it's a seawall.
Yeah, seawall. There you go. Joe knows more than me to stop the water from flooding Gotham City, and so Riddler bombs those up.
Apparently Gotham is like Amsterdam, where the whole city is built below the sea level, which is wild
and crazy. And then just the final scene there. Final scenes there. They are fighting in a football stadium. Batman does sort of he pulls a Michael Keaton and flashes his cape and falls down, but way more epic.
Yes.
And
reminiscent.
Fights a bunch
nice homage.
Fights a bunch of Riddler. What's the word I'm looking for? Impersonators. There we go.
Impersonators, wannabes.
Yeah, who
Not
are trying
clones.
to kill the new governor and take over Gotham City. So Batman does save the day with the help from Catwoman as well. And then they go their separate ways at the end. So actually,
lackluster.
Yeah, what a terrible movie. Anyway, Joe, what did you think of the overall story? Did you think it was good? You don't really like the mobster stuff. Did you think that Riddler sort of pulled you out of that sort of mode?
Yes, there was enough. Yeah. There was enough external sort of story and plot that it didn't feel like a mobster movie, even though it was. Right? Yeah. I mean, I will admit, there's a lot of mob stuff with the Penguin and Carmine Falcone, and it's a lot of mob stuff. But I think because the plot doesn't follow that, the plot follows the Riddler, it helps make it not a mob movie. At least for me, it really helped. I loved it. I love that the Riddler is young as well. He's roughly the same age as Batman, or at least the characters appear to be roughly the same age. Mm-hmm. I enjoy that. For me, it kind of brings this effect of like everything is new. Everything is just starting out. We get that sense throughout this film, with all of the characters kind of being young, at least, you know, kind of I was going to say like the main characters, but Falcone and Penguin are older, but kind of the protagonists here with Catwoman or Selina, and then Batman and the Riddler all being young. It helps to make it feel like it's the stepping off point.
Yeah.
So I really like that. I really like that that with the young Riddler, it feels like he's coming back. It's kind of where I'm at. Like we can have more of him in the future. So I love the idea that we'll have another movie.
That sounds like a good segue, because there is the Batman Part 2 coming out eventually. It's already announced.
Eventually.
And at the end of this movie, we do see Barry Keoghan's Joker. So there is a Joker in this universe. He's already in jail, but it already seems to be that
Not
he
jail.
is, well, Arkham. He's already in Arkham. He's already in Arkham Asylum, and there seems to be this setup point for Joker recruiting or maybe working with the Riddler. Now, I don't know how I feel about that. I love the Joker. I think the Joker is probably the greatest villain in all of comic book history. That's just my opinion. But I don't know if I need another movie with the Joker. I think that Matt Reeves has proven that if you take a villain, sort of recreate him, reimagine him, as they did with the Riddler, that it creates such a far more compelling story than trying to have another iteration of the Joker. So I'm kind of hoping for a different route for the second one. They haven't really said anything. They haven't really leaned towards anything. I'm hoping that maybe Joker is just a small focal point in that movie, and then maybe save Joker for the third film, part 3 or something. So, Joe, I think I'm going to make you happy. I want them to reimagine Mr. Freeze. I think Mr. Freeze needs to have this sort of like this reimagining that the Riddler did, because although I think that there have been more times in comic book as well as adaptation history that Mr. Freeze has sort of gotten a more serious note than the Riddler has overall, sans Arnold Schwarzenegger, I still think that Mr. Freeze really does need his time to shine in this next movie. I really hope they do that.
Okay, hear me out here and then give me your opinion. There's a moment in the stadium where when Batman is fighting, he pulls out a thing and he stabs himself or injects himself with it. Do you remember that part?
Yeah, so are you going to say Bane? You think that's Venom?
I mean, dude, it's green. It juices him up like crazy. They've already kind of snuck it into this film. Yeah, I kind of thought Bane might be coming back. And
I mean, maybe.
Why not?
I don't
like
want
the real
it.
Bane.
The real Bane?
Not robot. Well, that's the thing, right? We got robot voice Bane, right? Robot Sean Connery Bane.
Oh. Well, yeah, no, I hear you on that, but we also got comic booky Bane, where he's just like this,
back with Poison Ivy,
this toy,
that
right?
Bane?
Like this, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas Bane,
I want a good version of that.
Comic book wise, the Tom Hardy Bane is actually more close to the source material. So I would hope that maybe we get something that is along the lines of the Tom Hardy Bane, but maybe without that voice, maybe without the backstory of him trying to climb out of this thing, to save his life, You
were born in the shadows.
If they do Bane for the next movie, I guess I won't be upset. But I think Mr. Freeze. I want Mr. Freeze, man. Like, he's such a cool villain. I love him as a villain in the Batman Rogues Gallery, and I think he deserves it, man. I think he deserves it.
I'm on board, but only if Arnold Schwarzenegger can cameo a different character in it.
No,
just so he's in there with it. It doesn't have to be an important one. Could be a background. Could be a lieutenant or something. I just want to see him in there as a totally different role, just in a mush, just like a fun little nod, like, hey, Ice
funny.
Age, nice to meet you. All of the jokes and the puns, I love it. That's my favorite Mr. Freeze, and I know that's going to upset a lot of people. I love that Mr. Freeze, and I know you know that already. So we're good. But listeners,
right.
I love Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze.
Let's get into some trivia here, Joe. So Robert Pattinson revealed while auditioning for the role, he sneakily took a selfie in the Batsuit as a memento, just in case it didn't work out.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, right? Colin Farrell stated that he went to Starbucks to try out his prosthetics and makeup for the Penguin for the first time. Nobody recognized him, but he got a couple of stares from people.
I mean, who would recognize him as Colin Farrell in that getup? There's no shot.
Yeah, no. Nobody would know that it's Colin Farrell. Nobody did. All right. This is the first version of Batman to address the black eye makeup under the cowl directly. In previous films, the makeup just disappeared when Bruce took his mask off. Matt Reeves stated, "I just love the idea of taking off the mask, and under that, there's the sweating and the dripping and the whole theatricality of becoming this character."
Dude, and it works, right?
Yeah.
There's several scenes in this movie where when he pulls it off, you are expecting a clean, pristine, perfect face, and it's not. He's sweaty. It's all streaked.
Yeah.
It's like he fights crime in a rubber suit,
Yeah.
right? They did it right. I feel like it really worked.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Matt Reeves.
Matt Reeves stated that his version of the Riddler was partly inspired by the infamous serial killer Zodiac, who operated in California in the late 1960s. Joe, you live in California.
Never caught. I do. I know all about the Zodiac Killer. There have been several movies and TV series and whatnot about the, I think he might be the most infamous serial killer in California.
All right, I got two more for you. Colin Farrell revealed his son was utterly horrified at the sight of his transformation into Penguin during production. When my kid saw me for the first time, he was utterly horrified. I have it on iPhone. He was horrified.
That's awesome. I wonder how old his son was when he saw him. He was like a young son, or if he was like 12. It's like, yeah, who are you, stranger?
All right, final one for you. Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson received the same advice from the predecessors of their roles, Michelle Pfeiffer and Christian Bale, respectively. Make sure you can go to the bathroom while in costume.
I mean,
All right,
that's
just
good.
a little fun
That's a
one
good
to
point.
end off.
I'm sure that if you couldn't, the getting undressed just to relieve yourself was probably an hour's process
Right.
if you didn't
Yeah.
do that.
All right, Joe,
Wild.
let's hit it with your ratings. 5 out of 5. What do you got? 5 being
I think this is
amazing,
the best
4
Batman.
being- Okay, fine. Don't.
This is a 5 out of 5.
All right, cool.
We don't need the rating.
All right, fine. Well, maybe the listeners.
Amazing,
need it.
great, good, okay, bad. That was
Yeah.
it from 5 to
All right,
1.
cool. Yep. So Joe, you got a 5 out of 5. We got a perfect score here. This is a 5 out of 5. This is my favorite Batman film of all time. It did usurp The Dark Knight. I think that it is not only my favorite, but I could argue that it is the best Batman film adapted to screen. So, yeah.
Can we put an asterisk, though, on that? Asterisk, right? This is the best Batman film that's a Batman film. The Dark Knight is the best Joker film. But this is the best Batman film.
No, I'm not putting
So
an asterisk.
asterisk.
The Dark Knight is also a
Dark
Batman
Knight,
movie. All right.
killer Joker
Okay.
film.
So,
With a little bit of
listeners, we
Batman.
have also been rating our Batmans. So, currently, where do you stand? I believe Christian Bale is at your top, followed by Kevin Conroy, then Michael Keaton, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And where does Robert Pattinson join the fold?
He's on top.
He's on top.
He's the best.
Okay.
Yeah. I might switch Conroy and Christian Bale just because of the ridiculousness of the Bat
Christian Bale's
voice.
voice. Okay. All right.
I really hate that Bat voice, dude. I can't
mean,
stand
you
it. And
stated
everyone's
it.
like, it was fine. It was fine. I'm like, what was it? Like, no, it was bad. It was bad.
Enough.
No, I'm going to tear him apart. Christian Bale. Come on.
I certainly find it hard to put Robert Pattinson above Kevin Conroy, who is currently at the top of my list, but I think I'm going to do it. Upon rewatch, I think Kevin Conroy is the epitome of Batman. He is Batman, right? But I think as far as the overall movie and the scope and sort of the tone in which the Batman is set, I think Robert Pattinson blew it out of the water. I think he was so good. So I am also putting Robert Pattinson up top. So I think our lists are the same if you're switching Kevin Conroy and Christian Bale.
Yeah, I think I need to.
All right, so then
because I don't think I've said a nice thing about Christian Bale's Batman.
You haven't. Followed by Kevin Conroy, followed by Christian Bale, and followed by Michael Keaton. So that is our ratings. All right, listeners, hey, that's been the best of Batman. If you want us to continue this series, maybe take a look at some of the other Batman movies. Let us know down in the comment section. If you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, like the video, and comment down below what you thought about the Batman in this perfect movie. I think it's perfect. It's pretty close. Dang near close. All right.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, perfect.
Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're on Spotify, go to the mobile app and leave a star rating there. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can at WhatTheFunPod. And little inside baseball, you could also find us there on YouTube. So hey, it's a pretty quick click to get to the YouTubes, to get to the subscribe button. So just do it, please. It would really help us out. This has been the best of Batman. Let us know if there's any other series that you want to have us do here in the future. For Joe,
Twilight's in the works.
No, for Joe, for me, my name's Mike. This has been our review of the Batman. Joe, it's good to see you again. This has been the What the Fun Show. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Always, my friend. Bye.